So still with us now, criminal defense attorney Tamara A. Walker and state attorney for Palm Beach County, Florida, Dave Aronberg, joining us once again. First of all, what's your reaction to this defendant and his wife speaking out after his acquittal? Dave.
This whole thing stinks. I didn't like the verdict. I didn't like how the judge at the end said, "Hey, thank you. This was a lot of fun," or whatever the judge said. That's so callous to the widow, the woman, the other victim who was shot by Curtis Wright, who had her finger nearly amputated, and who lost her husband, the father of her child. And then for the wife of Curtis Reeves to say, "Hey, just find another husband." I mean, it just reeks. I don't like it at all. I don't like that he was speaking out, Curtis Reeves, and lying and saying, yeah, he's glad he brought his gun, doubling down. No, if he didn't have his gun, 2 people would have been alive. He would not have died because the victim did not have a weapon. The worst thing he did apparently was throw popcorn at him. So no, this makes me even more upset about the verdict than before.
Tamara, what do you think?
I hate to do it as a defense attorney, but I gotta agree with the prosecutor here. This case is absurd. I mean, I think Reeves said that he felt like Oulson hit him, but other than that, he hit him with popcorn. There has never been the causal link between, okay, let's say he did hit him in the face. That doesn't mean the next thing he was gonna do was beat him to death in a crowded movie theater in the middle of the day. Like, that's completely illogical. I think a lot of it, and unfortunately, Dave, the judge's attitude, which I felt the same way, was because he's a former police captain, which is unacceptable. This case is absolutely ridiculous, and I found it to be horribly condescending, horribly insensitive for the wife of Reeves to be telling the widow, "Oh, just go find someone else." They have a daughter who's 10 years old now, because this case took 8 years. She was 2 at the time. That is just one of the most ridiculous displays I've ever seen.
And, obviously it has been a very painful process for Nicole Oulson. I actually want to play a little bit of her reaction to all of this.
And what are you doing at that point? Your hands burning?
Figuring out what happened. I mean, I knew a shot had rang out, but I didn't know where he was shot or what our injuries were, other than my hand felt like it was gone off of my arm, and I'm watching him collapse, so I know it's bad. It was just shock, I think, panic.
Okay. Now, as you see your husband walking away, somehow it's a blur, you make it to the other aisle.
Yes, I have. Get away from me.
I realize the concern, but did you make any phone calls? Did you were trying to contact anyone? What was going on that aisle below? Can you show where it is? That aisle, what were you doing before you made it to the end where you could see your husband?
Yes, a gentleman had helped me, gave me something, napkins, and something to wrap my hand. And I tried to contact my mother to let her know that something serious had happened and she needs to get over here. And I guess I'm not making sense. So the gentleman takes the phone and talks to my mother, and the same with Chad's mother. And then I knew I needed to get it together because I wanted to go see Chad and kind of figure out what was going on at the time. But I know from prior experiences that if he saw me panicking, he would be more worried about me. And I didn't want that, so I pulled it together enough to get back to him in front of him where I could look over the aisle at him on the ground. And I see his eyes were just glazed over, and I knew at that moment. But I tell him, "Chad, me and Lexi need you. Please hang in there. We need you." And then I started to lose it, so I walked back away from the scene. Not the scene, but from where I could see him. And I went back to the gentleman that had been helping me.
Other people were helping your husband?
Yes, they were doing CPR work, assisting.
Okay. Please take your seat.
Nicole Oulson testifying during the trial, actually very emotional, and in the aftermath when that verdict came down, also extremely emotional. I mean, she was shaking, she was in tears, and it's understandable, of course, for what she's had to experience. You guys expressed how you felt about the kind of callous nature, is I think how you described it, of Curtis Reeves now speaking out and doubling down on his reaction post-verdict. But I also want to ask you about the aspect of legal liability, because you guys are attorneys and you would typically advise your clients not to talk, just keep your mouth shut, right? Dave.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you know, as a prosecutor, we don't have clients, but whenever people speak out, it never really inures to their benefit. I mean, look at the last segment we did about the juror in the Ghislaine Maxwell case. It seems like every time, whether a defendant or a juror speaks out, they get in trouble. Kyle Rittenhouse, every time he opens up his mouth, he infuriates much of the country. So, yeah, I appreciate Tamara and I on the same page on this one, because this to me just seemed like a miscarriage of justice taken even further by the callousness of these comments. And don't forget the judge's comments. I mean, you saw this poor victim, the wife, being victimized yet again by the verdict and everything that happened, and then for the judge to say, well, we all had fun. That's terrible.
And Tamara, I mean, we saw that you were nodding your head in agreement with all that. And then we're looking at this video of this distraught family, the Oulson family. You know, interestingly enough, there was a civil case related to all this that was settled before the trial. Does that change your opinion at all?
Oh, well, no. I mean, it's still a miscarriage of justice as far as the criminal case, but it does explain why Reeves feels free to go out and speak and say these crazy things that he's saying. I actually caught him on the news this morning, but I have to go back to this one point. I cannot explain why the judge said that. I've never seen a judge say something like that in 21 years of practice in a serious case. That was completely absurd. But you know, I think a lot of this case goes down to arrogance and how Reeves saw himself. I think if he were not former law enforcement, things would have been very different. And that's so unfortunate, you know, because from what I read about this case, it's not the first time he approached someone for texting during movie previews, which is, you know, kind of an inflated sense of ego in and of itself. But for him to, you know, take it out and, no, I don't regret anything and I'd do it again or else I might be dead, which I don't know where he gets that from. It's kind of an embarrassment to law enforcement as well. And the whole thing is just really shameful.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your analysis. Dave Aronberg and Tamara Walker joining us. So